We are currently 7 weeks into this NFL season, as I will be getting into my Week 8 NFL predictions. No bye weeks this week for any team, which is nice. So hopefully this week I'll have a good week in terms of picks and things of that nature. So let's not waste any time here. Let's get into the picks. Last week went 7-6, which is okay. There were some teams on the bye last week, so that's why it's this record right now, 7-6. Season 57-47, which is okay, which is good, but hoping for better and stuff like that. So hopefully this week we can get that record up even more. Thursday night football edition, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously coming off a loss at home to Atlanta Falcons, 16-13. I really thought, Tampa Bay was in the game from start to finish. It was a low-scoring game, obviously. They weren't able really to get anything going offensively throughout that whole game. Obviously, the Falcons, you really have to give them credit. They have a really good defense. Obviously, kept Baker Mayfield neutralized, made things hard on them throughout that game. Obviously, but Tampa Bay still had an opportunity to win the game, but obviously they just weren't able to take advantage of their opportunities uh, when they had it, and just weren't able to convert and things of that nature. So, um, so yeah, that's about it there. Buffalo Bills obviously losing to New England, which I don't think anyone picked New England to win that game. I think most people had Buffalo winning that game. 29-25 loss at New England. At New England. Um, yeah, I mean, this is a story that's happening. I mean, the Buffalo Bills offense have not been in sync the last 3 weeks or so. They've just been sluggish, been struggling, things of that nature. Just Josh Allen continues to just throw interceptions, just and stuff that and just things of that nature. Just not taking care of the football, putting the ball in jeopardy, and it's literally costing his team. And um, and then obviously the defense didn't play well against Mac Jones. Mac Jones was able to just dissect that Bills defense throughout the entire. I mean, really, the first half. I know the Patriots pretty much dominated the Bills in that first half. They were up 13-3 at halftime, and obviously the Bills were able to get their offense going towards the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth. Really, that's when they started to cut into that lead a little bit at New England, but it was a bit too late. Their offense needs to start playing a full 60 minutes of football instead of waiting to the fourth quarter to start the run. Um, and yeah, I mean, and obviously this Bills offense is just very vanilla. I mean, they're just very predictable with their play calling and stuff to that nature. And I think defenses are starting to figure out this Bills offense, and I think the defenses are obviously taking advantage of that. And if you're a Buffalo Bills fan out here, man, you really have to start asking, like, are the Bills in danger of potentially missing the playoffs? I mean, they're sitting at 4-3 right now, third in the AFC East. You got the Jets on their heels, a game behind them. Um, even and stuff to that nature, and then they're still behind Miami by a game. So, I mean, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you really have to just, I mean, there's cause for concern with this team. And then obviously you have the hard schedule coming up. So I mean the Bills better be careful down the stretch. They better start getting their offense together and stuff like that. They just have not been able to get the offense going. Like I said, the past 3 weeks. So um, no, they need to wake up, or else they could possibly find themselves outside looking in the playoffs. And then obviously the division, I believe it's over for the Bills. You already have two division losses, to the Jets in week one and to the Patriots last week, um, and stuff like that. So, I mean, the Bills better start playing better than what they have been, or else they're just not going to exceed any expectations. Bills fans are obviously frustrated about what's transpired on the football field with this offense, and I know the defense has injuries, but at the same time, your defense has been able to hold teams to low scoring averages, other than the Patriots game where you give up 29 points to a Patriots team who has been averaging 12 points per game before this game. Patriots offense hasn't been anything special, and you let them score 29 points on the Bills on your defense like that. You let Mac Jones just go down the field with ease and just was able to do what he wanted offensively throughout that whole game. I mean, it's just the Bills are just not playing up to expectations, and they better get their act together, or else they're going to find themselves missing the playoffs, and then things are really going to get ugly from there. And it's not like and one more thing here, the Bills. It's not like let's just say hypothetically they do end up winning 8 to 9 games, missing the playoffs, things of that nature, right? It's not like the Bills are going to be able to improve in the offseason by bringing in a big time free agent. I mean, you got money tied down to guys like Micah Hyde, Poyer. You got Josh Allen, his contract, and things of that nature. I mean, you got all this money tied into those players. You're not going to be able to improve unless you just make a trade or something like that, or go into the draft and get younger, especially on the defensive side. Micah Hyde and Poyer are getting older. They're not getting any younger, so it's like there's a lot of questions here with this team, and they got to get together. So, but overall in this game, I like the Bills here to win 24-17. I just think they're a better team right now than the Buccaneers. I think Tampa Bay will obviously keep it close. Um, Bills are favored by 8.5, so I think the Bucks will be able to cover that. But this should be an interesting game. Both teams coming off losses, but I like the Bills to get back on track here at home, 24-17 on Thursday Night Football. Next game we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 6.5. Rams coming off a loss at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24-17. The Rams really shot themselves in the foot with the penalties and things of that nature early on in the game that really just set their offense back. Offense couldn't get anything going in that first half against a good Steelers defense. You have to give the Steelers defense credit. They were able to keep Matthew Stafford in the offense, neutralize and just frustrate them that whole first half, obviously, and things of that nature. Now, there's a lot of conflict with the call late in the game with Kenny Pickett doing the quarterback sneak, and he was definitely short of the line there. I'm not really sure why or how the referees came up with the call of him getting the first down. He was obviously behind the line, and his knee was down before he even hit the yellow line. So there's a lot of this officiating this year has just been kind of weird. That was definitely the Rams really should have gotten the ball back. I'm not saying the Rams are the one, but they definitely should have gotten the ball back with a chance to go down and tie the game up. But they didn't get the opportunity. Refs obviously called Kenny Pickett, gave him the Steelers the first down. They ended up losing the game. But overall, that's not the main reason why they lost. I mean, the Rams just shot themselves in the foot with the penalties and just being undisciplined, especially early on. That's really set their offense back and things of that nature. The Cowboys obviously were on a bye week this week. They came off a week 6 W at the Chargers, 20-17, and things of that nature. The Cowboys obviously got a bye, and stuff like that. But overall, in this game, I like the Cowboys to win 27-21. This should be a really good game. Obviously, I think Aaron Donald and the Rams defense, I think they can definitely get after Dak Prescott a little bit in the game and try to keep things close. Obviously, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp in that offense should be able to put up points to keep the game close and things of that nature. Obviously, but I think the Cowboys just have a little bit too much on offense, and then their defense obviously is one of the best in the league. So they should be able to, Micah Parsons should be able to get a few sacks on Stafford, try to frustrate him a little bit throughout that game, and just not make things easy for Matthew Stafford. I think they're gonna have to work a little bit on offense to try to dissect this Cowboys defense. And the Rams are going to have to get creative if they want to beat this Cowboys team. But overall, just top to bottom, I think this Cowboys team is just a overall better football team than the Rams. So give me the Cowboys here, 27-21 at home. Next game, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. The Minnesota Vikings coming off of a big win at home against a good 49er team, 22-17. This Vikings team, no one really picked them to win. Um, they really just came out and they just took care of business from on both sides of the ball. This was a game where um, Kirk Cousins struggles in prime time. He really came out and made a statement in that game. The way he was passing the ball, he just passed the ball with just ease. He stood in the pocket, took some shots from the defense, and he just delivered when it mattered most. Obviously, he had a turnover in the game, but overall, he played fundamentally sound football. And other than that, and put his team in a good position to win and things of that nature. And obviously, the Vikings defense really did a tremendous job against Brock Purdy. Really frustrated him throughout the whole game. Got 2 picks, I think 2 or 3 interceptions against Brock Purdy. Um, yeah, I mean, just made nothing, just gave him nothing easy, just made him work the entire game. Obviously, the 49ers obviously didn't have Deebo Samuel in that game, which really just changed the outlook of that game. Deebo obviously makes the game a lot easier for Brock Purdy. Like I've been saying before, Brock Purdy at best is a game manager, and it just showed. Without Deebo, he just struggled the entire game trying to get anything going. Now, he did have some flashes, but I think the Vikings defense just frustrated him throughout the entire game, and just got after him in the offense and just made things very difficult for Brock Purdy. So, and also being at home, the fans were obviously just very loud and just made things even more hard for that 49ers offense. So, but you have to give the defense credit. They just did what they needed to do to get the W, and that was a big win for um, the Vikings. Obviously, to keep pace and then keep pace in the division. Obviously, keep pace for the playoffs. Um, and things of that nature. So I like the Vikings did what they needed to do in that area. The Packers obviously coming off a loss at Denver, 19-17. This Packers team is just struggling. Like just the last few weeks, they just have not played good football. Jordan Love just has not played well. He's just been turning the ball over, and just this Green Bay offense just hasn't got anything going. The defense is doing their thing, um, by keeping the game close, but their offense just seem like they can't get anything going. They're not putting up enough points. Obviously, Denver's an elite defense. I mean, when they want to be, they're a good defense, and then they just frustrated Jordan Love throughout that game. So you have to give the Broncos credit there. But overall, man, just this Packers just have not. I had expectations for Jordan Love and his team before the season started. They had a good first 2-3 games, and then other than that, they just haven't been looking hot on offense. So overall in this game, this is a divisional game. Obviously, the Vikings are favored by 1 in this game, but I like the Vikings here on the road at Green Bay, 24-20. I just think the Vikings are just they're playing better football right now than the Packers. And I just think they're going to take advantage of the momentum that they had last week, especially winning at home against a good 49ers team. I think they're going to carry that momentum on the road at Green Bay. Green Bay has not been playing well, like what I've seen from Jordan Love in the offense. So give me the Vikings here to win a close game on the road, 24-20 at Lambeau. Next game, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Tennessee Titans. Falcons favorite by 2.5. The Falcons coming off a gutty performance at Tampa Bay. Low scoring game, 16-13. yeah, I mean the Falcons overall in that game, their offense still struggling, even though they got a low scoring win on the road. Um, just looking at this offense right now, I mean Desmond Ritter, especially just boneheaded decisions. He was scrambling for a touchdown. He scrambled to the end zone to get the touchdown, and then gets the ball knocked out of his hands. End up being a touchback. Like that's a big play right there. They're lucky they're able to come out on top in that game because that could have possibly lost in the game if Tampa Bay's offense would have just got going a little bit more. Obviously, they weren't able to get anything going offensively, but they were able to just get going a little bit and generate some points. They probably would have won that game. So I mean, Desmond Ritter is very fortunate that that they won the game. So, and their defense is legit. Their defense was the reason why they won. I mean, they got after Baker Mayfield, frustrated him throughout that whole game, just made things hard on them, and now make things hard on him and the rest of that offense. So, I mean, Falcons defense is pretty good on that side, but I would like to see a little bit more consistency on the offense for the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ritter, I think he has potential to be something great in this league. But he's got to step up his game a little bit, and the rest of the offense needs to step it up as well. Um, so big win on the road, puts them in first place in the NFC South. So they got that going down there. Titans obviously were on the bye last week. Week 6 loss, excuse me, um, to the Ravens 24-16. Obviously, there's a lot of just I'm gonna keep this short a little bit. But Derrick Henry, there's a lot of rumors about him getting traded, um, and things of that nature. This could potentially be Ryan Tannehill's last year. There's a lot of rumors going around about him. But overall, man, like I said, this is one of those games where even though the Falcons, you look at them and the Titans, the Falcons on paper should beat this team, but something tells me I think the Titans are going to come out on top here, 19-16. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going around about the Titans. I think they're going to come out. Um, I think they're going to come out and upset the Falcons at home. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big game against this Falcons defense, um, and things of that nature, and obviously the Titans defense. I think this is one of those games where they really frustrate Desmond Ritter in that offense. I think, in my opinion, this is a bad matchup for Desmond Ritter going up against this Titans defense. Experienced, Mike Vrabel, you know, in that defense is just legit experience and stuff like that. I think they're going to frustrate Desmond Ritter. And then obviously Derrick Henry's going to get the run game going, that's something they're known for. That's their identity. So they're going to run that rock. They're going to ride him the entire game. And I think it will be enough to beat the Falcons. The Falcons offense obviously hasn't been anything special. They're not putting up a lot of points offensively. So I think this is a game where if it's low scoring, I think Titans can come out on top here. Even though their offense is not as good as well, but I think their defense and their run game should be able to be enough to hold off this Falcons team, 19-16 at home. Next game, we have the Saints at the Colts. The Saints coming off a loss at home to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 31-24. Yeah, I mean, the Saints had a chance to win that game against the Jags, um, and they just weren't able to get it done. I mean, their defense, where I thought it was supposed to be a pretty solid defense, gave up 31 points to Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, looking at the Saints right now, in my opinion, they struggle against elite teams like the Jags. Um, Trevor Lawrence obviously had a pretty good day against that Saints defense. Was able to generate offense. The passing game was pretty good for the Jags. They were able to just dissect that Saints defense. Saints didn't have an answer for this Jags offense throughout that entire game. Um, but the Saints obviously still put themselves in position to win. They just didn't have enough in the end to pull off the upset at home against the Jags. So you have to give the Jags credit. They were able to utilize their talent, um, on offense, and then their defense obviously uh, did decent against a Saints offense who has been pretty inconsistent. Inconsistent throughout this entire season. There's, like I said before, there are times where the Saints have flashes offensively, like they did against the Patriots, and then they come out the next week and lose to the Texans 2013, that type of deal. Just they've been kind of up and down offensively, so I need to see more consistency with the Saints offense there. The Colts coming off of a loss, high scoring game, 39-38 against the Browns. Um, yeah, I mean the Colts offense, like I said, they did their part. They put up a lot of points offensively. But Gardner Minshew needs to take care of the football a little bit more. He had a few bad turnovers in that game against the Browns that really really was the difference in the game. They just turned the ball over. Um, some crucial moments in that game. And I just think he needs to do a better job of taking care of the football. Um, and things of that nature. It was kind of a weird game, like honestly, because I thought it would be a low scoring game. Um, I didn't think both offenses of the Browns and the Colts were going to be able to put up a lot of points, especially with that Browns defense. But the Colts, they did a good job of just you know getting things going offensively and being creative and um, just dissecting that Browns defense. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough um, to win at home. In this game right here, the Saints are fair by, or the Colts are fair by 1. But between these two teams, I like the Saints in this game to win 22-19. I just think the Saints um, are going to be able to keep Gardner Minshew neutralized in this game. I think they're going to be able to get a few sacks on him. I just think this is one of those games where I think the Saints play well against sub 500 teams or average teams like the Colts. Colts are not. I mean, they're a good team, but they're not an elite team. I think the Saints play well against teams like this. I think this is one of those games where the Saints can turn Gardner Minshew over, really frustrate him throughout the entire game. And their defense, I think, is going to get a pick, an interception in this game. Maybe even a pick six to return for a touchdown. You just never know. But I think the Saints defense, I think this is a good. Their defense is going to be able to get after that Colts offense and not make things easy for them. So give me the Saints here at Indy, winning by 3 points on the road. Next game, we have the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 9.5 points in this game. Yeah, I mean, Patriots coming off of a big win at home against the Buffalo Bills, 29-25, which no one expected them to win. Even Patriots fans didn't expect them to win. Overall, just in that game, Mac Jones played very well. I mean, he had all day to throw the football. The offensive line stepped up and produced big time, gave him all the protection that he needed. And that's really all Mac Jones needs. If you really think about it, Mac Jones doesn't have the talent like the Dolphins do with their, with their receivers and things of that nature. But if Mac Jones has time to throw the football, that's all he needs. And you saw what he did. When he had time to throw the football, he was successful getting the ball to his receivers. And obviously, they got the run game going. The run game was pretty solid throughout the game against a pretty solid Bills defense, which the Bills defense just didn't show up really in that game. That really surprised me a little bit. They were one of the best defenses in the league going into that game. They just got exposed really on both sides of the ball. The Patriots defense, obviously, they did a tremendous job holding Josh Allen, who's one of the most elite quarterbacks in the game. They just turned him over. They got an interception against him early in the game. They held the Bills to 3 points in the first half. They were up 13-3 at halftime. They almost gave up the lead towards the end of the game there, which kind of if you're New England Patriots, you got to do a better job just holding on to leads better. But overall, Even though when they were down, Mac Jones was able to go right back down the field for a game-winning touchdown to win the game. And I feel like that was a big moment for Mac Jones because there's a lot of Patriots fans and just people around the league saying, well, is Mac Jones, is he that guy? If you want to be a franchise quarterback and just, for your team, you got to be able to go out and lead your team to victory. And he did that, and he just played with so much poise throughout that entire game. I really like what I've seen from Mac Jones in that offense. Probably the best they've played all season. So hopefully they're able to keep that up and stack up these wins in the middle parts of their schedule here. The Dolphins, coming off of a loss, Sunday Night Football at Philly, 31-17. Yeah, I mean, really the only thing I got to say about this game is the Dolphins have yet to beat an elite team. And that's very alarming, in my opinion, because the Dolphins can beat up on some of these below average teams, but when they go up against a team like the Eagles and things of that nature, and they're not able to beat these teams, you can't really call yourself a Super Bowl contender. If the Dolphins have high expectations, Dolphins fans have high expectations for this team. You want to get to a Super Bowl, you got to be able to beat teams like the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Eagles, and stuff of that nature. You got to be able to beat some of these elite teams, and they just have not been able to beat any of these elite teams. And like I said, you can't take the Dolphins serious here. On paper I mean, on paper they should be able to come through the AFC. If you really think about it, you have Tua who's staying healthy so far throughout the entire season. You have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. The defense obviously isn't, like I said, is not anything special. They have Jalen Ramsey on that side of the ball, but their defense is giving up a lot of points on that side of the ball. But they're able to offset that with their offense. Their offense is able to make up for the defense. But at the end of the day, if you're not able to beat these elite teams, it ain't gonna freaking matter. At the end of the day, you're not gonna get through the AFC, you know, beating these sub 500 teams, but you're not able to beat teams over 500. Like you got to be able to beat these teams. You have the Chiefs in your conference, you have the Ravens in your conference, you have the Jets and things of that nature in your division and in the conference as well. You got to be able to beat these teams. If you're not able to beat them, you're pretty much I think the Dolphins will make the playoffs, but you're gonna be a one and done team in the playoffs if you're not able to beat these elite teams. It ain't gonna matter at the end of the day. So they got to figure that part out right there because they do have the talent on both sides, especially on the offensive end. They have the talent to be able to compete with these teams, and I think they have it. It's just a matter of can they go out and beat the Chiefs and these teams, and they just haven't been able to do that. But overall, in this game, I think the Patriots will cover, but I'm still going with the Dolphins to win 28-23. I just think they have too much firepower on the offensive side. The only way the Patriots are going to win this game, they got to obviously uh, contain Tyreek Hill, Jalen Wall, and just keep things in front of them, and not giving up the explosive plays. The Patriots have to tackle better. That's the one thing they struggled against Buffalo was just tackling. They got to be able to tackle, especially in the open field against guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Wall. They're both just are too fast and things of that nature. So I think the Dolphins will be able to hold off the Patriots here, even though the Patriots their defense is I would say is pretty good, even though they don't have Judon um, and Christian Gonzalez on that side, but their defense held their own against a good Buffalo Bills team. I think they will hold their own against the Dolphins team. Week 2, they obviously held the Dolphins to 24 points, even though they still lost. Um, So they'll hold their end, but I think the Dolphins will just have a little bit too much, especially on the offensive end. So give me the Dolphins here, 28-23 at home against their arch rival. Next up, we have the New York Jets at the New York Giants. Jets are favored by 2.5. The Jets obviously were on the bye last week. They came off the Week 6 win at home against the Philadelphia Eagles, 20-14. Um, yeah, I mean the Jets obviously, we keep this short because they didn't play this last week. They won the bye week. Um, with the Bills losing, the way they did to the Patriots, um, and then with the Dolphins losing. So the Bills obviously sitting here at 3-3. With the Bills losing, they're 4-3, so they're a game behind the Bills. Um, and they're still in play for the division crown. I mean, they're Dolphins are sitting here 5-2, but I mean, if you look at the Jets, look at their schedule gets easier. At least for the next month or so. So if they can go on the run here, they can find themselves fighting for not only just the wild card, but they can find themselves fighting for the division. I mean, the Jets aren't out of it. When Aaron Rodgers obviously first series of the with his tenure with the Jets gets injured, everyone was counting the Jets out. Everyone thought the season was over. I mean, then the Jets just rode the ship, put their heads down, and they just got some wins and some important wins against teams like the Bills and then the Eagles, elite teams. So I mean, this Jets defense is legit. Like this is a Super Bowl defense, in my opinion. The defense just gets after the quarterback, just makes things extremely difficult for any opposing offenses. This defense can compete against any offense in the league. You know, they're that elite. They have guys on that side of the ball that are hungry and things of that nature. The Giants, obviously, um, they came off of let me look at my thing right here. They came off of a win at home against the Commanders, 14-7. Like I said, with the Jets, Giants have an elite defense as well. They were able to really shut down Sam Howell in that offense, just frustrated him throughout the entire game. They were able to get hit after hit after hit against Sam Howell, um, and they just played to their strength, and their defense got after it. I mean, they just um, really frustrated that Commanders offense throughout the entire game. Obviously, the offense didn't do anything the entire game. I would like to see more from on that side of the ball for them. Saquon Barkley, obviously, I think, like I said, just him being there and his presence really just makes the Giants better overall. Um, but I would just like to see more consistency with that Giants offense. Um, but they were able to get another, like I said, they were able to get a big division win against the Commanders and uh, puts them at 2-5 here, and they're in things of that nature. So, but overall in this game, this is going to be a low scoring game. I like the Jets to win 17-13. I don't think there's going to be much offense in this game. I think both defenses are that good. Um, I think Zach Wilson will struggle against this Giants defense, and I think whether it's Daniel Jones or um, Daniel Jones, whoever starts for the Giants, I think they're going to struggle against this Jets defense. I think this is going to come down to the defenses and who can get the most stops. I think the Jets are just better, especially on that side of the ball. I think they'll get a little bit more stops than the Giants will, and obviously it's going to come down also to who can turn the ball over less. And as much as I want to pick the Giants, this game's on neutral site, by the way. This is in New Jersey, so that'll be interesting there. But overall, I just think the Jets defense is just that elite. I think they'll be able to get more stops. All Zach Wilson has to do is, if he can just not turn the ball over and take care of the football, play fundamentally sound football, just making the right play, not putting this team in jeopardy, the Jets will come out on top here. So I like the Jets here, winning a low scoring, ugly game on the road here. I mean, not really on the road; they're basically at home. 17-13 against the Giants. Next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jags favored by 2.5. The Jacksonville Jaguars obviously getting the win on the road against the Saints, 31-24. Yeah, I mean, this Jags offense, they're playing well right now. I mean, they were able to do what they wanted offensively. Obviously Trevor Lawrence. was questioned. He wasn't questionable, but he was a game time decision against the Saints. Obviously, dealing with that knee injury, he was able to go. He didn't, it didn't slow him down. He was still able to make plays with his legs and with his arm, obviously, making plays down the field to his receivers. Um, and their defense obviously did enough to just hold the Saints offense pretty in check. They did score, even though the Jags did give up 24 points on that side, but they, like I said, with the Saints offense is just inconsistent. So I think that really played a factor in why the Jags won. They just had a little bit more talent, a little bit more on both sides of that ball. They were able to hold the Saints off on the road there. The Steelers obviously coming off of a win in LA, 24-17 against the Rams. I mean, yeah, the Saints, like I said, this is one of the best defenses in the league. TJ Watt got an interception. Obviously, the Steelers defense really played with a whole bunch of energy throughout the entire game. Really frustrate Matthew Stafford and that offense, especially in that first half. They just held him in check and things of that nature. So they're that elite on that side of the ball. But the Steelers offense obviously didn't play that bad either. I mean, the first half they didn't really do anything. They were down. I believe they were down. Was it? I think it was like 10-10 at halftime or something like that. 10-9 at halftime against the Rams or whatever it was. Or actually, I think they were up 10-9, but something like that. But anyways, um, yeah, I mean, their offense got going off. They were a little bit creative in this game. I was kind of surprised by that. Whatever Matt Canada had cooking in that playbook, was able to be enough to hold off the Rams. I mean, they were just like I said. If the Steelers are creative offensively, obviously we already know what the defense can do. But if their offense can just get creative and just confuse the defense, I think the Steelers can win a lot of games they can win a lot of games that way. But like I said, if their offense is not creative, obviously they're going to struggle because your defense. You can't rely on your defense to do everything. Your defense is good. But their offense needs to step up, and I think the offense did step up yesterday or just against the Rams. So that was good to see there. Um, but overall, there's a lot of people that are saying, well, this is not a good Steelers team. This is not. The Steelers are definitely worse than their record on things of that nature. Um, Even though I disagree with that. I think the Steelers are good. They were able to do what they needed to do to get to 4-2. They won games with their defense, and they're just playing to their they're playing. That's their identity. They're just fundamentally sound defense, elite defense, and their offense did just enough. Even though I would like to see a little bit more consistency with their offense, but their defense is legit. But overall in this game, I like the Jaguars to win 21-17. I just think they're a much better football team than the Steelers right now. Like I said, the Steelers did come off of a win, a really questionable win because did Kenny Pickett really get that first down? I don't think he got the first down. I really think the Rams should have gotten the ball back with a chance to tie it up, and they didn't get the opportunity. But overall, I think Trevor Lawrence in this offense should be able to hold this Steelers team off. I just think they're just better on that side of the ball. I don't think the Steelers offense, even though they did put up 24 points last week, I just don't think they, like I said, it's all going to come down to consistency. Can they do it each and every week? And I still have to see it from them. But give me the Jags here, 21-17 on the road against a really good Steelers defense. Next game, we have an NFC East showdown. We have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Commanders. Eagles favored by 6.5. The Eagles obviously come off a big win at home against the Miami Dolphins, an explosive Miami Dolphins offense, 31-17. Like I said last week in my video, I really think if the way the Eagles played against the Jets, I really think they're gonna come out very angry and take it out on the Dolphins, and they did exactly that. It was close early on, but I really think the Eagles did a good job. They opened up, especially in that second half. I just think Jalen Hurts played really well um, against the Dolphins. I mean, like I said, Dolphins defense isn't good. So Jalen Hurts was able to dissect that defense, um, and their receivers got going against the Dolphins D and things of that nature. And they really got after uh, uh, Tua in that game. They turned Tua over. He threw an interception in that game. The Eagles defense was just locked in, and just they were on a mission. They really wanted to win, especially after what happened at the Jets the week prior. Um, they really frustrated the offense. Tyreek Hill obviously had some flashes, but I mean the Eagles defense, they really kept them in neutral. They really contained Tyreek Hill and the rest of those receivers on that side, which is pretty impressive because Miami's offense is probably the best in the league. They're fast, but the Eagles defense really held their own, so I was really impressed by that, and things of that nature. Obviously, the Washington Commanders, they came off a loss at the Giants, 14-7. This Commanders team is just not a good football team. I'm just gonna be honest with you; they're not a good football team. It's very alarming. Sam Howell, who I thought had potential in this league, which I think he does. This dude's not getting any protection whatsoever. He's already been sacked 40 times, and we're 7 weeks into the season. He's been sacked 40 times, the most in the league. So this offensive line isn't doing their job by protecting him and just trying to, I just feel bad for Sam Howell because he's taking all those hits, and we're not even at the halfway point. We're just hitting the halfway point of the season. He's already been sacked 40 times in 7 games. That's inexcusable. If you're the command, that's really inexcusable. You gotta do better with protecting the quarterback in that situation, in just in general, because he continues to take these hits and these sacks. There's a possibility he may not even make it through the season. Like, you've been sacked 40 times. I mean, that's just mind blowing to me. I mean, like, and there's a lot of questions. Obviously, like the defense is good. They, like I said, they held the Giants 14 points, on that side of the ball. But there's just a lot of questions with this team. There's a lot of rumors about uh, Chase being traded. There's a lot of rumors about the enemy possibly being gone. Ron Rivera, this could potentially be his last year. There's a lot of questions, and there's a lot more questions than there is answers with this team. This team is just they just don't really have an identity. I just don't really understand what they're doing week in and week out. They're very unpredictable. It's hard to really trust this team right now, um, and what they're doing. I mean, I'm surprised they're really 3-4. They really should be worse than what they are, especially with the amount of hits that Sam Howell is taking. I just think it's not really his fault, but at the same time, the offensive line needs to do better in protecting him, and things of that nature. But overall, here, I just think the Eagles are just a much better football team. Give me the Eagles 28-17. I think they cover that 6.5 spread, win by more than that. This defense of the Eagles should be able to get after Sam Howell. I think the rest of the teams in the league know that Sam Howell's been sacked the most in the league, 40 times. I think this Eagles defense will get after him, and they'll get more sacks on him, and they'll probably turn him over. I could see him throwing at least a few interceptions in this game. I just think the Eagles they're not the best defense in the league, but they do have talent on the side of the ball. I think they'll be able to turn Sam Howell over, which will be a difference in the game right there. So give me the Eagles here, 28-17, at Washington. Next game, we have the Houston Texans at the Carolina Panthers. Texans favored by 3. The Texans obviously were on a bye last week. They defeat the Saints in Week 6, 20-13. Obviously, like I said before, the Texans team is sitting in a good spot in a week in the AFC South. They're in the thick of things, sitting at 3-3. CJ Stroud has done a tremendous job of just taking care of the football, which is really the reason why they're have been able to win games. You don't have any turnovers. You're keeping the turnovers low the way he is keeping the Texans competitive, and they're winning games. And they really have surprised me a lot. This is one of the most exciting teams young, exciting teams in the league. Like I said, I think the Texans are a few drafts away from being a serious contender in this AFC. Teams don't want to play against. So this Texans team is legit, and things of that nature. If they continue to take care of the football, and their defense obviously has played pretty good too up to this point. They could find themselves in a wild card spot at the end of the year. I just think this team is very exciting, very promising team, and like I said, in looking at you look at the Ohio State quarterbacks. Obviously, there's a lot of um, OSU quarterbacks that don't make it to the NFL or doesn't have success in the NFL. CJ Stroud so far has had success through 6 weeks or through 7 weeks into the season. He's taking care of the football the way he is, and they're going to win a lot of games in this league. So they got that going on there, and it's just a matter of can they keep being consistent, and so far they have been. So they're an exciting team there. They lost to the Dolphins in week 6, 42-21. Obviously, this Panthers team right now, obviously, they're just in a tough spot. I mean, they're in the rebuild. Obviously, Bryce Young, uh, promising quarterback who I think has potential, but like I said, they're going through a lot of growing pains, and they're learning how to win, even though they aren't winning right now. Um, I think they will start winning here soon. I mean, if you think about the mock drafts, they don't even own their first pick. That goes to Chicago. So I think the Panthers can end up maybe winning 4, maybe 5 games when it's all said and done. But right now, they're just struggling to try to get any type of. They're just struggling in general. They just there's been some games where they've been in it, but like I said, I think this lack of experience and first year quarterback, and things of that nature. This is just not a good football team, and um, it's not really going to change the result. I think they're going to continue to struggle here. So overall, I like the Texans here to win on the road, 23-16. It'll be a close game, but I think the Texans obviously is a better football team. C.J. Stroud continues to not turn the ball over the way he um, continues to keep his turnovers down like he has been. Texans are gonna continue winning at the clip they are. Carolina's, like I said, they're going through a lot of growing pains right now, and their fans, their teams, they're gonna have to be patient and just roll with the punches. They'll start winning here soon, but as of right now, they're gonna take another L here at home to the Texans, 23-16. I think the Texans just obviously they're just a better football team right now than the Panthers. So give me the Texans 23-16 on the road. Next game we have the Cleveland Browns at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3 points. Browns obviously coming off of a high scoring win at the Colts, 39-38. Obviously, Deshaun Watson was in the game for a minute, and then he ended up getting hurt. So PJ Walker came in, and their offense really just they definitely surprised me. Honestly, I did not think that game was going to be a high scoring game. I thought it was going to be a low scoring game between the Browns and the Colts, obviously. So I was wrong about that. Their running game obviously is legit. They got a running game going. Um, the defense obviously gave up a lot of points on that side of the ball, but it was just a weird game overall. I didn't really expect, like I said, I didn't really expect that game to be a high scoring game the way it was. But the Browns, like I said, they escaped with a close win on the road against the Colts. They turned Gardner Minshew over a few times in that game, which I think it was a difference in the game. He had the turnovers, and I think that really came back and bit them at the end there. Um, Even though they did give up 38 points, I still think this Browns defense is legit. I still think they're a Super Bowl defense, in my opinion. But like I said, they had a bad day on that side of the ball. But even though they did get the win, they still got the win, which that's all matters at the end. But they just gave a lot. They gave up too many points against a Colts team. It's not an elite. Colts are not an elite team, but they're an okay team. But I expected the Browns to be better on that side. I thought it was gonna be a low scoring, ugly game, and things of that nature. The Seattle Seahawks, obviously, coming off of a win against the Cardinals at home, 20-10. Seahawks wasn't pretty. Wasn't anything special offensively. They were able to hold off a Cardinals team who's obviously in a full rebuild right now. Cardinals team that's obviously struggled the last 4 weeks, especially on the offensive side. But the Seahawks, obviously, like I said, every week is not going to be pretty for any team. Sometimes you got to win ugly games. They still won by 10, but I expected more points put up with the Seahawks, especially against the Cardinals. But like I said, W is a W, and they were able to hold off the Cardinals. Another division win, so that's big for the Seahawks. Geno Smith continues to do good things with the football, continues to not do too much with the football, and just make the simple play. I think along with their I think their defense is pretty solid too. So if they continue to be consistent on both sides, I think the Seahawks can um, compete. Especially and then right now with the 49ers losing, the Seahawks are definitely in play for the division. I mean, if they can string out some of these wins leading up to the 49er game, I think that would be huge for them. So they got that going there. So they just got to keep their eyes out for the 49ers. I think they could definitely compete with them, and it'll be interesting to see where those two teams are by the end of the year. See if the Seahawks can take that division possibly. So we'll see about that. But overall in this game, I like the Seahawks to win 24-21. I just think that if Deshaun doesn't play in this game, if PJ Walker has to, if he's starting quarterback going into Seattle, I just think this is it'll be a close game. But I think going to Seattle, especially in that environment with PJ Walker under center, I just think the Browns aren't going to be able to get much going offensively. Obviously, they're going to have to establish the run, which I think the Seahawks defense will be able to stack the box against. Was it Kareem Hunt and make the Browns pass the ball to try to win the game. I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to shut down the run, make the Browns beat them over the top. And I think the Browns are pretty much going to do the same thing with Geno Smith. They're going to probably stop the run and make the Seahawks pass. But I just think Seattle, with that, I trust their offense a little bit more in this game, them being at home. If this game was in Cleveland, I'll definitely be going with the Browns, just because, like I said, the Browns, difference between playing Cleveland and playing Seattle, they're two different environments. But this game's in Seattle, so I like the Seahawks. I give them the edge here, 24-21 at home. It should be a good game. So we'll see what happens in that matchup. Next up, we have an AFC West showdown. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. Chiefs favored by 8. The Chiefs coming off of a win against the Chargers at home, 31-17. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs continue to show the rest of the teams in the AFC why they're the team to beat. They're reigning defending Super Bowl champs, and they're showing the reason why they're the team to beat still. They're doing, like I said, their offense is pretty good. Obviously, with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and the rest of those receivers, they're doing what they need to do to just win games, even though at times it's not pretty. Sometimes it's pretty ugly the way their offense has been looking so far, even though they are winning games. They're still sitting here at 6-1. Um, and their defense is actually a lot better this year than it was last year. Their defense is getting after the quarterback. They're turning teams over. They turned Justin Herbert over a couple times in that game, which was a difference in that game, obviously, and things of that nature. But overall, not much to say about the Chiefs. I mean, like I say, they're still the team to beat until someone beats them. I'm a bit old school in that regard. So until someone actually knocks out the Chiefs, they're still the team to beat in the AFC, and things of that nature. So they're 6-1. They're sitting on top of the AFC right now, and as of right now, they would have home field advantage if the season ended today, which it wouldn't surprise me if they did again this season. So they got a lot of momentum going right now. So let's see if they keep that going. The Broncos, obviously, they came off of a win last week at home against the Packers, 19-17, low scoring affair. Um, yeah, I mean, their defense obviously was the reason they won. They kept Jordan Love, kept him neutralized, really frustrated him um, throughout the entire game. Um, I should have picked them last week. I didn't. I picked the Packers to win last week because I thought Jordan Love would have had a better day, and it just wasn't anything different. He still turned the ball over and that thing and things that nature. But Denver obviously was at home in that game, um, and their defense obviously played very well in that game against the Packers, and just really just limited what they want to do offensively. Just made things really hard on Jordan Love and the rest of those guys on the offense. Um, so they got that going over there. And then, I mean, obviously their offense, I would like to see them be more consistent, putting up a little bit more points. Obviously, their offense is still struggling a little bit to just put up points, but their defense obviously has played well in the last few weeks or so. Um, if you go back to the first matchup, which was literally a few weeks ago, whatever it was, they held the Chiefs to 19 points. Um, they even turned Patrick Mahomes over in that game. So, but in this game here, I think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring. I just think this game's in Denver. Denver will definitely keep things interesting in the game. I think this might be one of their highest scoring highest scoring games probably of the season or whatever. Um, But overall in this game between these two teams, give me the Chiefs here to win 28-24. I think Denver will cover, but I think the Chiefs obviously will just, Patrick Mahomes is that dude. You give him the ball in crunch time, he's going to make things happen. It's no surprise he's that good. Along with his weapons he has and Travis Kelce, Tony, and all those guys on offense. So I just think the Chiefs here are just a better football team than the Broncos right now. Broncos will keep it competitive. Um, they may even score in garbage time, things of that nature, but Chiefs are just a better football team here. They continue to own the Broncos like they have been the past few years, so things won't change there. So give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs on the road, 2024 in Denver. Next game we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Arizona Cardinals. Baltimore favored by 8.5. The Ravens coming off of just a huge blowout win against one of the best teams in the NFC in the Detroit Lions. Um, yeah, I mean the the Ravens obviously Lamar Jackson was able to do what he wanted offensively in that game, using his legs, scrambling against the Lions defense, um, getting the ball to his receivers, things that nature. Obviously, the defense obviously they played phenomenal the entire game. They really got after Jared Goff, really frustrated him the entire game. Jared Goff was just forcing the ball down the field, just unnecessary throws against a good Ravens defense who, like I said before in my last week's video, the Ravens, if they play solid defense against Jared Goff, if they can rattle him early, which they did from the start, it was going to be a long day for that Detroit offense, and I was definitely right about that. So this Ravens defense is pretty good when they want to be. And, they definitely have potential on that side of the ball. Lamar Jackson obviously is playing really well right now. I think he's on a mission right now. I'm rooting for the guy because I really think Lamar Jackson deserves success and things that nature. He's that special of a player. You just gotta stay healthy and continue doing the little things to help his team and things that nature. So overall, Baltimore played just just a fundamentally sound game against a good Lions team who obviously people were kind of overhyping a little bit, but the Ravens were able to put that to bed and get a blowout win at home there. Arizona obviously coming off a loss at Seattle, 20-10. This Cardinals team, not much to say about them. Like I said, they're in the full rebuild right now. They had a pretty good They had a pretty good 3 weeks, first 3 weeks of the season, covering the spread. But the last 4 weeks or whatever, last month pretty much, they have not been able to cover the spread. They've been getting blown out, or they've took losses in the last 3 4 weeks or whatever. Um, and like I said, I think like I said before, the reality has set in, and they're just not a good football team, and they're losing games now. And like I said, this should be a team that should be fighting for one of the top picks in the draft this year. There is room. There is reports that Kyler Murray could come back as soon as next week, which I think is good for him to get him acclimated, especially coming back from that ACL injury he suffered last year. Get him acclimated. Get him acclimated. Um, try to shake some of the rust off. Um, and like I said, having him back is huge. Obviously, they need their best player. He's obviously the best player on the team. Get him back next week and see what he can do. See if he can get this offense going a little bit, who has been struggling a lot lately. So overall here, I like the Ravens on the road here, 27-17. I think they will cover the spread and win by more than 8.5. Just a better football team. Lamar Jackson coming off a big win last week. I think they'll continue this momentum on the road against a bad football team, the Cardinals. Um, Lamar honestly should have he should have a field day against this defense. It's not a good this is not a good team in the Cardinals. So Lamar should have a field day, and the rest of their team should as well in the defense. So giving the Ravens on the road 27-17 at the Cardinals. Really good game here. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are favored by 5.5. The Cincinnati Bengals obviously were on a bye last week. They beat the Seahawks in week 6, 17-13. Yeah, I mean, pretty much all I have to say here is Joe Burrow's getting healthier and healthier. He basically had the last 2 weeks to get healthy. Um, so that's big for the Bengals. Obviously, he's been injured, obviously, beginning of the year. So him getting healthy is huge, along with their receivers. I think the vibe there is really good, really high. Um, the Bengals, obviously, people were writing them off the first few weeks. Started off 0-2, and they're sitting here at 3-3. And like I said, they're still very much alive for the division. There's still a long season left. There's about 11 to 12 games left in the season. Um, Bengals still have time to get going. So if they can get a big win here on the road against a good 49er team who has been struggling in the past few weeks, that would be huge for the Bengals in terms of their confidence, in terms of trying to stay um, in the race in a competitive AFC North. So they got that going on there. The 49ers obviously coming off a loss in Minnesota 22-17. Yeah, I mean, the 49ers have been struggling the past few weeks, going up against elite defenses, and the Cleveland Browns losing there 19-17, then coming home or then going on the road again against a pretty good Vikings defense and things of that nature. Obviously, Brock Purdy didn't have Deebo Samuel in this game, which the 49ers definitely missed him in this game. They could have definitely used him in that game. Obviously, Deebo, his ability to make plays down the field with his being creative and just making things easier for Brock Purdy in the offense. Like I said before, Brock Purdy at best is a game manager, and he definitely struggled without Deebo. He threw he had a couple interceptions he threw in that game, and he would just look rattled throughout the entire. He had some moments where he did make some pretty good throws on the field, but just overall, just wasn't a good performance by this 49ers offense. Defense, obviously, they did their part. They did give up 22. I mean, I know 22 is not really a lot, but they still held their own outside of the ball. Their offense, obviously, is just struggling and things of that nature. And if Deebo Samuel, I'm not sure what his status is this week, but if he doesn't play, I can see the 49ers losing in this game as well. As of right now, they're on a 2-game losing streak. So, but overall in this game, I'm going with the upset here. I like the Bengals on the road to win 24-21. I just think Joe Burrow getting healthier is huge. I think this Bengals offense, like I said, they're really good. Um, like I said, Joe Burrow, him getting healthy, I think he'd be more consistent with throwing the football to his receivers. I think the receivers, everything, the chemistry is on point. Like I said, the vibe is high in Cincinnati as of right now, as they're sitting at 500, with a chance to move up in the conference and in the division as well. So, like I said, If Debo doesn't play in this game, I think I can see the 49ers struggling again and losing and going on a 3-game losing streak. So this is a big game for both teams, but I think this is a much bigger game for the Cincinnati Bengals, especially in the competitive AFC North. So give me the Bengals here on the road, 24-21. Should be a really, really good game here. Next game, we have the Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are favored by 8.5. Chicago obviously coming off of a win, big win against the Raiders at home, 30-12. Was not expecting the Bears to win last week. With no Justin Fields, I didn't really expect their offense to do much. Their offense really played really, really well in that game, putting up the points that they did. Their defense really got after Brian Hoyer, and just the Raiders offense just couldn't do anything the entire game. They just looked lost out there. They just have no identity. The Bears really just showed, just played really, really well on that side of the ball, especially on the defense, and turning, the Raiders over. They had a few turnovers in that game, so that was a big difference in the game there. Um, so they really surprised me there, especially with the defense. The way they shut down Devontae Adams in that offense just that entire game. So good things going there for the Bears. Let's see if they continue to build upon that. Obviously the Chargers coming off a loss at the Chiefs, 31-17. This Chargers team right now, I mean, if you look on paper, this team is definitely better than what the record is. I think the issue with this team is their coaching. I think Brandon Staley, like I said, he's just continuing to cost the Chargers wins. I know they've had a lot of close losses, but the problem is they just don't have the right coach. I think Brandon Staley is going to be gone, in my opinion, after this season. I think the Chargers need a more of an offensive minded coach, who's going to help um, Justin Herbert continue to develop his game. Obviously, he's making plays, he's doing what he can, but I just think just the scheme and the coaching obviously is really the big problem here with the Chargers. I think there's going to be a different coach next year. I think Staley is going to be fired after this season, especially if this Chargers team doesn't get to the playoffs. There's really no reason why, with the amount of talent that they have on their team, that they should be better than what the record is, and they definitely should be one. I mean, they're definitely, look at on paper, they're definitely elite, but they're just not showing it as of right now. I think the coaching is definitely holding them back, in my opinion. Um, and stuff like that. But overall, in this game, I like the Chargers to win here, 23-17. Even though I don't feel confident about it. The Bears can definitely go on the road and shock and win, um, if the Chargers don't get their act together, especially, um, especially their defense has been very, very disappointing this season. I thought the defense would have been a lot better than what they're showing. They just given up too many points on the side of the ball. Um, Their offense is obviously they're doing, like I said, they're doing what they can, but like at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to come down to, can the coaching put them in positions to succeed, and so far they haven't been able to do that. They're underachieving, in my opinion. They're 2-4. This is a big win. This is a big game for the Chargers. I don't think they can afford to fall to 2-5, even though there are some Chargers fans saying, well, even if they do lose, this will give them a better chance, or Brandon Staley will have a higher chance of being fired, things of that nature. But overall, Chargers are a better team here. Giving them 23-17 at home on Sunday Night Football. Last game of the week, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Detroit Lions. Lions favored by 8. Raiders coming off a disappointing loss at Chicago, 30-12. I really thought the Raiders team, um, really thought they would take advantage of no Justin Fields. I picked the Raiders to win last week, and I was dead wrong by them. This is not a good football team, um, in my opinion. They're just not a good football team right now. No Jimmy Garoppolo. Brian Hoyer doesn't make them any better. Just a bad football team. I mean, just Devontae Adams. just watching his body language on the field, he don't want to be there no more. At the end of the day, there's going to be changes. Um, Josh McDaniels is going to be gone after this season, in my opinion. I think he's going to be gone. I just think the think he's lost the locker room. I don't think the players are really buying into what he has, what he has in store for this team. There's not just very vanilla play calling, just not a good coach. If in my opinion, he should have stayed his butt in New England as the offensive coordinator. Obviously, he wanted to go on and be a head coach, and he's just not. He's one of the worst head coaches in the league. He's just not doing anything. As soon as he got there, he just has not done anything with his team. Just not able to get anything going on the offense. And Devontae Adams, like I said, wants out. Um, Things are looking very, very bleak with the Raiders. And I just don't see it getting better for them, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo being out with his injury. I just don't think Brian Hoyer is going to be. He is a veteran. He's not going to thread the needle. This offense, there's just this team overall is just a bad football team. So not much to say about them. Obviously, the Lions coming off of a blowout loss at the Raiders, 38-6. Was not expecting them to get blown out the way they did. I thought they would lose by a touchdown or so. Um, yeah, this thing with the Lions, if they want to be in the mix for a Super Bowl, like I said, the same thing like I said with the Dolphins. You gotta be able to beat the elite teams. The Lions were able to beat up on the sub 500 teams or average football teams, but they went up against a real team like the Ravens, who has a good defense. We already know what Lamar can do on the offensive side. You go up against the Ravens and you get absolutely just demolished the way they did. Just they had no response throughout the entire game. Um, the lead just kept getting bigger and bigger, and they just had no answer. And Jared Goff obviously tried to, force the ball downfield, ended up being intercepted, and he just had overall just had a bad day on the offense. The offense just couldn't get, they just no momentum. Um, they just couldn't get anything going against a good Ravens defense. Um, Things of that nature. But overall here, not much. I'm not really excited about this game. But overall, I like the Lions to win here, 27-16. I think they come back here. I think they take it out on the Raiders. Raiders they're not really playing for anything. I think there's a lot of issues on that, in the organization over there with the Raiders, with, Devontae Adams wanting out and then Josh McDaniels potentially being fired after this season. I think the Lions, they get back on track here against a bad football team and the Raiders, especially after, their blowout loss at the Ravens. Um, they're gonna come out very angry, and I think Jared Goff will have a much better game against this team. This defense isn't good either. So, yeah, give me the Lions here at home, 27-16 on Monday Night Football. Now I'll do it. Those are my Week 8 NFL predictions. Comment your picks below. Like, share, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy the games this weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.